The Mr. Art Plus is equipped with an automated system to force the cleaning process to be carried out on all parts that come in contact with the product once a preset time interval expires. This process, designated as wash, will block distribution functions until the unit is cleaned completely. Cleaning and sanitizing procedures need to be carried out completely and thoroughly with the utmost care to be certain the machine remains in compliance with health and hygiene standards. To begin, we will need to empty the machine. First, locate the Stop button on the front touchpad of your Mr. Art Plus unit. Press this Stop button for 2 seconds in order to place the machine in the stop mode. To begin, you will need to remove the 2 blue dispensing hoses from the bottom of the dispense head. Next, place a container under the dispensing head to catch the mix we are about to empty. Now open the dispense pistons and press down on the metering handle levers to begin emptying the mix. With the dispense piston open, you will want to return to your touchpad and look for the row of 5 buttons along the bottom of the front touchpad display. The second from the left button in this row will activate the beaters and the pumps when pressed. It can be identified by its swirl emblem and key. We will refer to this as the Clean button. Press this Clean button to help extract any product from the cylinders. If there is any frozen product still in the cylinders, we recommend using the heated cleaning function. To activate heated cleaning, press the Clean button and hold it down until you see the message Beat plus Heat. Once any hardened product has been removed and the mix begins to flow out as a pure liquid, press the Stop button again to place the machine back in stop mode. At this point, remove the tank lid and locate the metal feed tubes attached with a metal connector tube to the silver pumps in the front of the hopper. Pull back on the metal connector tubes to disconnect them from the pumps. Now turn the metal feed tubes 45 degrees to the right side and slide out the connector tubes. You may then continue rotating the metal feed tubes until they can be lifted out of the hopper. With the metal feed tubes removed, we will allow gravity to push out the remaining mix by once again opening the dispense pistons and pressing the Clean button to activate the beaters. Wait for all the liquid mix to come out and then press the Stop button. When the last of the liquid mix has been removed, locate the white agitators in the hopper and remove them by lifting straight up on their bases. Next, fill the hoppers with 10 quarts of fresh water each. Then, using the brushes provided in the tune-up kit, clean the side of the tank, the mix level sensor, and the agitator shaft housing. After brushing out the hopper, you will need to press the Clean button to activate the beaters in the cylinders, which will agitate the rinse water there and help wash out any remaining product. At this point, you may empty the rinse water from the cylinders by following the same steps you used to empty the product. Then repeat the rinse and brush procedure until the water comes out clear. To complete the initial rinse out, you will want to prepare a container of sanitizing solution and pour it into the machine. Allow this solution to sit for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Then you may empty it using the same steps you have used previously for draining the machine. With all sections of the machine emptied and rinsed, we will need to prepare a wash sink and then begin removing and disassembling the parts for brush cleaning. To remove the pumps, turn them clockwise and pull toward the rear of the machine. Then remove them from the hopper. Both pumps will follow the same instructions for cleaning, so we will describe the process once and you can duplicate it on the second pump. Now remove the pump shaft and the pump seal from the back of the pump housing. You can remove the white pickup tube by turning it counterclockwise until the notch in the pickup tube aligns with the retaining pin and pulling it away. Use caution here as the white pickup tube is spring-loaded and can eject itself quickly. Remove the O-ring with the special O-ring tool provided. Take the spring and the valve out of the pump body. Unscrew both metal thumb screws. Remove O-ring from the pump body. Remove the gears from the pump body. Using your prepared wash sink, thoroughly clean and scrub all parts with the brushes provided. Place all 13 parts together and sanitize. Next, we will disassemble the metal feed tubes and metal connector tubes removed earlier in the cleaning process. Once again, the process is the same, so we will describe it once, and you can duplicate the procedure for the other side. Remove the 2 O-rings located on either end of the metal connector tube. Remove O-rings from both ends of the metal feed tube. Remove the white duckbill valve from the bottom of the metal feed tube. Using your prepared wash sink, thoroughly clean and scrub all parts with the brushes provided. Place all 6 parts together and sanitize. Next, using the provided wrench, you will want to rotate the connectors under the dispense head to the left in order to loosen them. You may then manually remove them from the dispense head assembly. Then remove the 4 white thumb screws that hold the dispense head in place. Next, pull forward on the dispensing head to remove it from the machine, and remove the O-ring from the handle retaining pin. You can now begin removing the piston handle retaining pin, slowly taking each piston handle loose as they are freed. Once all 3 handles are removed, the pistons can be extracted from the dispense head. You will need to lift up on the piston with one of the removed handles. Once loosened from their seats, you can remove the pistons by hand. Remove the piston O-rings. And remove the O-rings from the back of the dispense head. Using your prepared wash sink, thoroughly clean and scrub all parts with the brushes provided. Place all 19 parts together and sanitize. To disassemble the metering hoses, you will begin by removing the 3 O-rings from the dispense head connection point and the hose connection receptor. You may then unscrew the metering handle away from the metering hose, taking care to keep in mind there is a spring in the handle that can be quickly ejected if caution is not used. Remove the spring and the metal shutoff ball from the metering handle. Remove the thumb screw and metering handle assembly. Then remove the O-rings. Now remove the dispensing tip from the end of the metering handle. Finally, you may remove the O-rings from the end of the metering hose and the metering handle. Using your prepared wash sink, thoroughly clean and scrub all parts with the brushes provided. Place all 11 parts together and sanitize. The last pieces to be removed from the machine are the beaters. As in previous examples, we will demonstrate the cleaning of one beater, and you can duplicate the process on the second beater. You can pull the beater out of the cylinder by hooking 2 fingers at the end and pulling it towards you. As the beater begins to slide out of the cylinder, please make certain you cradle it using 2 hands to prevent the end of the beater from banging against the cylinder wall and damaging it. Now place the beater on a table. Slide the beater seal off of the beater shaft. Pull the idler toward the front of the beater with the grooves in the idler shaft lined up with the slot in the end pusher. Continue pulling forward on the idler until it is completely through the end pusher and free of the beater body. Pull forward on the end pusher to remove it from the beater body. The 3 scraper blades can be removed by grasping them firmly and twisting away from the securing hooks of the beater body. Using your prepared wash sink, thoroughly clean and scrub all parts with the brushes provided. Place all 7 parts together and sanitize. With all of the parts thoroughly brushed and cleaned, it is time to reassemble the machine. We will begin with the pump by placing all 13 parts together after being sanitized. Then we can insert the gears back into the pump body. The gears are designed to fit only one way and cannot be fully inserted incorrectly. Install the O-ring into the groove around the gears and lube the exposed portion. You do not need to be excessive with the lubricant. If the lubricated area shows smear lines from the dragging of your finger over it, then this is enough lubricant. Place the front cover of the pump back onto the pump body and install the 2 metal thumb screws to hold it in place. You may want to use a sanitized towel to help get a better grip on these thumb screws, as lubricant on your hands can make them difficult to fully tighten unassisted. Insert the valve back into the pump cover flat side first, and then insert the spring over top of it. Place the O-ring back onto the white pickup tube and lubricate the exposed portion of it. Reinstall the white pickup tube back into the front cover of the pump, being certain that it locks under the retaining pin. Lubricate the pump shaft seal and reseat it in the back of the pump assembly. Insert the pump shaft back into the pump and reinstall the entire pump assembly back into the machine, being certain that you can turn the pump assembly counterclockwise to have the catch clip fasten around the retaining stud in the front of the hopper. Repeat this process for the other pump. Now slide the white agitator back over the agitator shaft, being certain you can see the square metal seat of the agitator shaft sticking through the top of the white agitator so that it is fully seated. Do this for both sides. We can now reassemble the metal feed tubes and metal connector tubes. Place all 7 parts together after being sanitized. Install the lower O-ring in its seat on the lower portion of the metal feed tube and lube the exposed portion. You can then reinstall the white duck bill valve into the bottom of the metal feed tube. Place the metal connectors O-rings back in their seats and lube the exposed portions. Place the metal feed tube back into its seat in the hopper, starting with the open end facing toward the left-hand side of the machine. Then press down firmly as you turn it counterclockwise toward the pump so that it locks in place. You can then insert and reconnect the metal connector to the silver pump. Repeat this process for the other side. Next, we will reassemble and reinstall the beater assemblies. Place all 7 parts together after being sanitized. Reseat the white end pusher back into the metal beater body, being certain the notch in the white end pusher lines up with the cutout in the metal beater body. Insert the idler back through the end pusher and slide it back toward the rear of the beater until the tip comes to rest in its seat. Reinstall the 3 scraper blades by grasping them firmly one at a time and twisting the indentations on the top of the scraper blades underneath the metal retaining hooks of the beater. Lubricate the beater seal on its interior portions and slide it back onto the rear of the beater. Slide the entire beater assembly back into the cylinder using 2 hands until it's fully seated. Repeat this process for the other side. Now, to complete reassembly of the machine, we will need to reassemble the dispense head. Place all 16 parts together after being sanitized. Reinstall the O-rings on the pistons and lubricate the exposed portions. Then reinsert the pistons back into the dispense head, making sure the dispense handle slots are facing outward to accept the piston handles. You may now begin aligning the piston handles and reinserting the piston handle retaining pin back into the dispense head. Now we can reinstall the O-rings on the back of the dispense head in their seats and lube the exposed portions. To reinstall the dispense head, you will need to realign it with the front of the machine and press it firmly into place. You can then use the 4 white knobs to hold it in place, being certain they are well snugged. Next, we will need to reassemble the metering hoses. Place all 11 parts together after being sanitized. Reinstall the O-rings on the ends of the metering hose and metering handle and lube the exposed portions. Reinstall the dispensing tip on the end of the metering handle. Reinstall the O-rings on the metering handle assembly. Then reinstall the metering handle assembly and thumb screw. Place the metal shutoff ball and spring back into the metering handle and screw the metering handle back onto the end of the metering hose. Now reinstall the 3 O-rings back onto the dispense head connection point and the hose connection receptor, lubing the exposed portions. You may then screw the dispense head connection point back into the hose connection receptor. Finally, using the provided wrench, reattach the dispense head connection point onto the dispense head assembly, making sure it is snugly fitted. Sanitizing the machine. Disconnect the metal connectors from the silver pumps and remove the metal feed tubes from their seats in the bottom of the hoppers. You may then lay the metal feed tubes in the bottom of the hoppers for sanitizing. Fill the hoppers with sanitizing solution and let it drain down into the cylinders. Brush the mix level sensors, the hopper walls, the pumps, and the hopper agitators with brushes provided for 5 minutes, being certain sanitizer is touching any area mix could possibly touch. Next, press the clean button and let the machine run, keeping the beater in the cylinder. Churn the sanitizer there for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, press the stop button. Place a catch container under the dispense head. Pull down on the piston handles to lift the pistons and squeeze the metering handle levers to empty the cylinders. Press the clean button to help extract the solution. When all of the sanitizing solution has been drained, press the stop button. Refilling the machine. Use a fresh pair of sanitary rubber gloves anytime you are touching parts that will come into contact with product. With the machine in stop, after complete reassembly, you will want to remove the metal feed tubes from the hoppers. Place a catch container under the dispense head and open the dispense pistons. Then begin pouring fresh mix into the hoppers, allowing it at the same time to bubble down into the cylinders and force out any remaining sanitizing solution. Once all remaining sanitizer is removed and only mix is flowing from the machine, you may close the dispense pistons and complete the refilling process. Continue pouring until the mix level sensors are covered, but the mix level does not exceed the height of the selector arm of the white pickup tubes on the bottom of the pumps. When the mix has stopped bubbling into the cylinders, you can reinstall the metal feed tubes and reconnect it to the silver pumps. You may then fill to the mix line. You will then need to press the clean button key To activate the beaters and the pumps, this will allow you to make certain that you have a good seal between the metal feed tubes and the pumps. When you have seen that the unit can properly pressurize without leaking, this is evidenced by mix coming from the weep holes of the silver pumps, but nowhere else. You may then stop the machine by pressing the stop button. With the machine completely reloaded with mix, you may now press the appropriate function key for your product to put the machine into production. Button functions. Stop. This button puts the machine into stop mode. In this mode, the machine is stopped and the corresponding LED is turned on. OK. This button accepts a highlighted cycle. Gelato production. This button brings up the possible gelato production modes, which are Gelato, Gelato Mix, Gelato Mix 65, Sorbetto, Sorbetto Mix. Press the increase or decrease buttons to choose the desired gelato production mode and press OK to accept. Pressing the gelato production button again will bring up the cycle description windows. Gelato confectionery. This button brings up the possible gelato confectionery modes, which are Pastiche Gelato, P Gelato Mix, P Gelato Mix 65, Pastiche Sorbet, P Sorbetto Mix. Press the increase or decrease buttons to choose the desired gelato production mode and press OK to accept. Stick Gelato. This button brings up the possible stick gelato modes, which are Stecco Gelato, S Gelato Mix 65, S Gelato Mix, Stecco Sorbet, S Sorbet Mix. Press the increase or decrease buttons to choose the desired gelato production mode and press OK to accept. Specialties. This button brings up the possible specialties modes, which are Semifreddo, Semifreddo Mix, Mousse, Mousse Mix, Bavaresi, Bavaresi Mix. Press the increase or decrease buttons to choose the desired gelato production mode and press OK to accept. Water delivery. You may press the water delivery button to activate the water delivery through the shower, available as an option. Shower can be connected to the machine through the quick coupling located on the hopper side, and it works only if the machine is connected to water source. Water delivery stops either by pressing the water delivery button again, or after 1 minute, or by pressing the stop button. Cleaning extraction. Pressing this button while in stop will activate the beater and pump for 30 seconds. Then the machine automatically switches back to the stop mode so as to prevent excessive cylinder wear. Once cleaning mode is activated, the display shows informational windows. You may return to the standard display by pressing the cleaning extraction button again. In certain functions, pressing this button after the machine has reached its set consistency value will activate the extraction function to allow you to empty the hardened product. This button's final function allows you to lock the keypad for cleaning by pressing and holding this button for 3 seconds. Pressing this button for an additional 3 seconds will unlock the keypad. Manual functions. This button brings up the possible manual functions modes, which are storage, pasteurization. Press the increase or decrease buttons to choose the desired gelato production mode and press OK to accept. Increase. The increase button is used to select the desired process, selected using the asterisk alongside the cycle name from each menu. It also serves to increase the values that can be edited for those functions where edits are permitted, for example, to change the temperature of the production process. Decrease. The decrease button is used to select the desired process, selected using the asterisk alongside the name from each menu. It also serves to increase the values that can be edited for those functions where edits are permitted, for example, to change the temperature of the production process.